the two parts that cause us the most suffering. This is knowledge I'm gonna share, and it can lead to transformation by you becoming aware of those parts during your day. This is something that I become aware of every day. I notice those parts, and when you notice these parts that cause us suffering, you actually step out of them, believe them less, they start to impact your life less and less, and that makes you happier and happier. So there's two parts, right? Promise you two parts. One is the judge. This is the part that goes like, it judges ourselves, judges other people. It's the part that also judges situations. This is good, this is bad. It lives in the realm of duality. It can say mean things about other people. It can say mean things about ourselves. And it can often just be unsatisfied with things. Like, oh, this food, I don't like it. I'm not satisfied with this food. I hate this food. It's not a problem. Like, different people have different tastes. But the judge, the difference between not liking and the judge is that it carries that sense of judgment, like it's not supposed to be this way, is the belief behind it. It's unsatisfied in a way. I want to clarify the difference, and that difference causes suffering. Is one way is you just say, you just plainly don't like the food, you don't like the taste, and you go, I don't like the taste, I'm not full. You can say even, I'm not satisfied with the taste of the food. Notice that attitude, and now notice this attitude. I don't like the food. I don't like that food. I hate this food. I hate it. I hate it. I'm unsatisfied. I'm not full. This attitude, and I admit I'm not the best actor, it carries behind it the idea that the food is not supposed to be this way. That somehow this is not okay. This is not right. This is wrong. The judges things by right and wrong. It misses the point. The truth is that it is just as it is. There's not really right or wrong. You like it or you don't like it. You don't have to make a fuss about it. It's creating suffering for ourselves. The first way, you just plainly accept things as they are. Okay. Second way, you make a big deal, big drama out of it. Quite pointless drama, I would say, in my point of view. The second part that causes us suffering is the victim. The victim is the part of us that accepts the judgment of our own internal judge when it judges ourselves. It is the part that gets offended by opinions of other people. Even if it is just a constructive opinion, it can go and internalize it, take it personally. So if someone gives you perhaps a tip to improve on, say someone gives me a tip to improve on my YouTube video, now the victim can internalize it and say, oh, I'm so bad, I'm such a failure, I can't get anything right, just because I was offered a tip to improve my video. The victim often feels powerless by situation, powerless compared to life, like it can't do anything. Actually, while the victim often complains that it is suffering, poor him, so painful, he's suffering so much, and actually a big part of it feels comfortable with suffering. It feels like suffering is in its comfort zone and happiness is not in its comfort zone. So while it is complaining, it's actually creating more suffering, which is where he feels comfortable. The judge has a lot of rules, and what it does with these rules is it judges situations, it judges ourselves, it judges other people based on how much all of these things measure up to these rules. You can see these rules as some sort of image of perfection that it constantly compares things against. For example, I take the popular example of how we look. Well, the judge perhaps can have an image of perfection of how we are supposed to look. It's right here. And in the judge's eyes, how we look is right here. Sometimes we may measure up to the expectation. Maybe we get some compliments. Maybe we feel great today looking at the mirror. We did a plastic surgery. Now we are up to par with the image of expectation. It says good, satisfied. We feel a high. Another day, which is actually usually most days, because it sets the bar really high. It compares us to that image of perfection, and it says, wow, you're bad. You're ugly. You're not good looking. Now we feel bad. We feel negative emotions. And the interesting thing is, the victim is the one that believes the judge. It's the part of us that when he hears that judgment goes, oh yeah, he's right, I'm bad, I'm ugly. Judge says you are ugly, victim says he's telling the truth, I am ugly. And it says it in a negative tone, in an attitude, an emotion, a tone of a lack of confidence, a tone of self-disrespect, of self-rejection is the word I was looking for. One effective way you can notice the judge is in duality-based words like good and bad, right or wrong. When it says this is good, this is bad, this is not how it's supposed to be, this is how it's supposed to be. What determines what is good and bad is extremely relative, and that's where the judge resides. How the judge determines what is good and bad? By his own rules. But everyone's rules are different, and we can take that into perspective and believe less when it says this is good, this is bad. Be a skeptic to these opinions, because the absolute truth is it's neither good nor bad. It's relative to how we see things. I want to leave you with an example. Let's take the example of someone who failed an exam, say at school, high school, university. You failed that exam. Now you say to yourself, I am a failure. Now what we often don't notice when we say I'm a failure, it's not that simple as just saying, I said. It's not as simple as just Daniel saying I am a failure. There's a few parts of the mind going on, and we can step out of the part saying I'm a failure. Notice that we can notice that part, so that part is not us, and we can actually break it down into a lot of little parts. And for this example of this video, I'll take the judge and victim parts. What really is going on deeper in the mind when we say I am a failure? You have the judge. What does he do? He has a high expectation, like right here, okay? And that we didn't fit that expectation. We failed the test. The expectation was perhaps to ace the test, get 100, get a 90, pass it. And we didn't meet that expectation. Now it says you are a failure, you suck, etc. We didn't meet the expectation. Now he says that part of the mind says that. The victim is the part that believes it. The victim listens to what the judge says, and it's the part that accepts it as absolute truth. The judge turns failing in a test to being a failure. You can see in this example how we can step out of believing every thought we have and notice that it's actually based on more little thoughts or parts of our head. The thought I am a failure turns into a judge part saying you're a failure, and the victim part believing it, accepting it as absolute truth. And by the way, this can even be more subtle. I've trouble with that word. So, say we don't think I'm a failure, but we think we failed. I failed. Now we can say it in an factual, neutral way. We can say I failed the test with acceptance. But often what happens is a different kind of tone, and that tone says I failed. I failed the test. Kind of like a victim tone, an unsatisfied tone. In this example of I failed the test, by looking at the attitude, we can often notice that below the I failed the test, what the mind is saying is, I failed the test, I'm a failure, didn't fit the expectation. Or it can say also, I didn't get what I wanted, I failed the test, this sucks. Again, that's the judge. This sucks. It's duality. I mean, this sucks. Nothing sucks or doesn't suck. It is how it is. And the victim may say this sucks in like a tone of insatisfaction, of being victimized by life. So these are just examples of subtle ways where these two parts can cause us suffering. What you can do with this information now, it's kind of useless if you don't use it. Just knowing this can help you. What you can do is during your day, just do your best to notice when you have thoughts that can belong to the judge, victim, or both of them at the same time. And just notice them. What happens when you notice them and why it's so helpful. Just doing this can really reduce your amount of suffering, really increase your happiness. Why? Because you have the victim, you have the judge, and when you believe the thoughts, you are the thoughts. You are the victim and judge. You feel that emotion and pain, completely believe it. Now when you notice them, victim, judge, and between them, I don't have free hands, let's say, but between them, it's you noticing them, okay? And that can dramatically increase your well-being, for sure. So just do your best to notice these thoughts, and it can create changes. You don't have to really do anything. It's about noticing. If you want to learn more about how I learned it, how other people learned it, how to improve and expand those practices even more, you can check out a few places. So I'm gonna give you free sources. There are plenty, but just free I find the most useful. First one is this lovely book, The 5 Levels of Attachment by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. I will link it in the description. Second book, The Voice of Knowledge by Don Miguel Ruiz, the father of the book I just recommended. He's the author of the book The Four Agreements. You might have heard of it. These books really go deep about these two parts of the mind, the judge and victim, noticing them, how they work. I find them extremely valuable. And the third source is the website Pathway to Happiness and the courses in it by Gary Van Warmerdam. He was actually a student of Don Miguel Ruiz. As you see, I find their teachings really useful. You can also email me, ask me some questions. I'll put my email in the description below and we can chat. I'm Daniel from Happy Living. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this helped you out. You find this valuable. Subscribe for more content. Like if you enjoyed the video. Notification bell. You know the drill. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. A happy and enjoyable life. And I will see you in the next video.